Good morning and welcome. My name is Erwin Chemerinsky, and I'm incredibly proud to be the Dean of Berkeley Law. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the commencement for the Berkeley Law class of 2023. The students graduating today with JD degrees, LLM degrees, JSD degrees, and PhD degrees are a diverse population from all over the globe. This is an occasion to celebrate the hard work and their accomplishments, which now qualify each of them to join the profession that is responsible for ensuring justice in our society and across the world. Graduating from law school is always a huge accomplishment, but is especially so for these graduates. For the JD class of 2023, you spent all of your first year of law school online. For all of today's graduates, the pandemic affected your education and your lives in so many ways. I hope that this makes today and your accomplishment in reaching this milestone even more meaningful. You've shown a perseverance and an ability to deal with adversity that bodes so well for your careers. None of us, not as individuals or as an institution, got here on our own. I think it only appropriate that we begin by recognizing and thanking so many of us who got to this point in time. First, each of our graduates helped enormously before and during law school by parents, by partners and spouses, and by children. You've guided the graduates and been there for them through the hard work and ups and downs inherent to any law school program. You've provided financial support, emotional support, and love. I'd like to ask all the parents, partners, and spouses and children of the graduates to stand, and I would like the class of 2023 and everyone here to join in thanking them. Every aspect of the law school is implemented by a tremendously talented group of administrators and staff. Most of all, they're committed to our students and providing them the best possible educational experience. I'd like to ask my associate and assistant deans and all the librarians, administrators, and staff of our law school to rise so we can thank you. Ultimately, the quality of any school is a product of two components, the students and the faculty. Our faculty have taught the class of 2023 in the classrooms, yes, on Zoom, in their offices, in the halls, in their homes. They've imparted great knowledge of the law and hopefully wisdom and inspiration as well. By every measure and standard, it is a superb faculty, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. I'd like to ask my colleagues, the law school faculty, to rise and be recognized. Finally, I want to take a moment and recognize the regents of the University of California with us today. Regent Maria Anguano, Regent John A. Perez, Regent Janet Riley, Student Regent Marlene Baez-Pedro, Berkeley class of 2023, and Student Regent Designate Mahawi Tesfaye. Our tradition is to have student speakers on behalf of both the LLM and JD classes. The first student this morning will speak to us on behalf of those in our LLM degree program. These are graduate students, mostly lawyers from countries in the world, who are receiving a master's degree in law from Berkeley. Our LLM program is an integral and wonderful part of the law school. This year's LLM student speaker is Guillem Martinez Guimet. Guillem was born in Barcelona but spent his childhood in Uruguay. He completed his law degree at the University of Barcelona before pursuing a master's degree in European law at the University of Brussels. He then worked as a fund formation attorney for 8 years at major law firms in Luxembourg and Spain before enrolling in Berkeley. During his time at Berkeley Law, Guillem authored an article supervised by Professor Rita Astor that compares the legal framework for securities offerings in the United States and the European Union. After graduation, Guillem will return to his work as a foundation attorney. Please join me in welcoming Guillem.
Thank you, Dean Chemerinsky. Families, professors, faculty and staff, and of course, dear friends. When I was given the honor to address you all today, I thought, what could I possibly tell my already brilliant LLM and JD peers? There is nothing I can tell you that you don't already know. So instead of focusing on my own personal journey at Berkeley, I thought we might as well reflect upon the life lessons that we all learned together. So I embarked on a quest. I asked around. I wanted to discover what about this life-changing experience we will treasure forever. In what way it has changed us. Because yes, Berkeley has truly transformed us. So guys, this is not my speech, it's ours. I will now cover the 3 main lessons that I believe highlight our collective experience at Berkeley. And I will do so in the form of a book. But don't you worry, it's a very short book. It's actually a very special book. It has 2 features. The first one is the first book that you will get at Berkeley for free. And the second one is that I got a little help summarizing it from our new favorite professor, ChatGPT. So here we go. Chapter 1, Embrace the Present. Some time ago, we decided to change our lives, to give a chance to follow our dreams, to believe that they can come true. Dreams about igniting our potential, about giving our best. Dreams about pursuing our careers at the highest level. We soon discovered that Berkeley is no joke. So many things to do. Pro bono, law journals, academic trips, daily readings, long hours of study, and of course, lots and lots of LLM drama. Guys, we even learned about pizza sauce. And through it all, despite living the best experience of our lives, we at times have missed the moment by wondering whether we could rise to the next challenge. Because the truth is, as any lawyer, we are never content. Years looking forward to this moment at Berkeley, and once we were finally here, instead of savoring every bit of the experience, we turn our back to our own dream, chasing the next one. So let this be a lesson to us. Don't miss your life by anticipating the future. Don't be absent from your own life. Enjoy every moment. Embrace the present. Chapter 2. It's okay to not be okay. Yeah, it really is. You know, let's just all admit that sometimes, despite the amazing experience we lived, despite the amazing people we met, we have felt alone. We might even have felt hopeless sometime. Those feelings and many other are part of the human experience as much as enjoyment and pleasure. But coping with them can be challenging. We are chased by the constant assault of social media celebration of false human fulfillment. We are almost forced into contemplating the supposedly perfect lives of strangers, or even worse, into pretending we live a perfect life. But life is not perfect. So instead of being carried away by conventions, we should try to find our own definition of fulfillment. Don't constrain yourself with expectations of success. Success will be a byproduct of living a happy life. We are together in this journey. Whenever you are not doing okay, reach out to the good people around you. Don't be afraid of judgment. And above all, believe that you can make it. Because after all, at Berkeley, we found the force to keep going. We made it here and we made it through. Look at how much we have accomplished. And last but not least, chapter 3, this is just the beginning. This is what the commencement is all about, right? A beginning. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know that. I didn't know what commencement meant. I just thought it sounded a lot like the Catalan word, començament. And then I found out that they both mean the same, a beginning. And then I thought, but what beginning, what commencement? This is supposed to be a closing ceremony, a closing speech, not a commencement. But of course, whenever in life a chapter ends, a new one commences. We have a saying in my hometown, Barcelona, Rode al món i torna al born, which translates into travel the world, travel around, but come back home, come back to the Born, which is a lovely medieval neighborhood in Barcelona. But at least to me, what this actually means is never lose sight of your origins. Never lose your essence. Never forget who you are. So, whenever life defies you with a new challenge, with a new beginning, just take a serene moment to come back home. Come back to you, to your time at Berkeley, because this is part now of your origins. And remember that no matter how hard it all seemed at the beginning, we made it through. Today, in our last day together as a class, as we leave this beautiful campus, remember that our journey has just begun. Don't be sad. The friendships we made, the knowledge we gained, the experiences we lived, that is forever. Today, before we leave, don't forget to take a breath and look at the sky, to embrace the present, to remember that sometimes it's okay to not be okay, and that this is just the beginning. I wish you peace. Thank you.
Thank you for those inspirational words, and you're right, of course, that every law student loves the idea of a free book. Next, we will hear from the JD student speakers, Yara Slayton and Jimena Velasquez Aranis. Yara is originally from Cairo, Egypt, and graduated from Boise State University. During her time at Berkeley Law, Yara engaged in numerous pro bono projects, including the Post-Conviction Advocacy Project and the Prisoner Advocacy Network. She also worked in the East Bay Community Law Center's Clean Slate Clinic. Yara will graduate with a certificate in public interest and social justice, as well as pro bono honors with highest distinction. After commencement, Yara will begin working in the Emerging Companies and Venture Capital Practice Group at Perkins Coie in San Francisco. Jimena is from Mexico City in Seattle, Washington, and graduated from the University of Southern California. During her time at Berkeley Law, she engaged in many pro bono projects, including the Prisoner Advocacy Network, the Digital Rights Project, Blast Lana, and the International Human Rights Clinic. Jimena will graduate with certificates in race and the law, as well as public interest and social justice. She also received pro bono honors with highest distinction. Jimena will be joining the litigation group of Perkins Coie in Seattle. Yara and Jimena were co-presidents of the Law School Student Government, and it's wonderful to have them here together to deliver these remarks.
Mom, I love you, Mom. يا أحلى أم في الدنيا. Hello, Zoom School of Law graduates. What a journey these 3 years have been. Law school has a way of forcing you to answer simple yet deeply profound questions you never thought you were going to have to answer. Questions like, do I even speak English?
Who is this reasonable person?
And for the love of God, what is chicken?
Those questions would be fine on their own, but instead for us, they were coupled with a global pandemic that brought forth its own slew of existential questions, like, will there be toilet paper at the store this time?
Should I be jumping on the sourdough train?
Or more pressingly, will we survive this pandemic?
Doubt in the face of uncertainty is natural, but our new normal was unprecedented. In many ways, our dystopian, outlandish exam hypos couldn't even keep up with our reality. Think of how much we've been through and experienced these last 3 years. An ongoing global pandemic, 2 grueling elections.
Both right before finals?
We witnessed an insurrection. We saw the takeover of the most conservative Supreme Court in modern history, which promptly overturned Roe v. Wade. We saw policymakers set on attacking our gender nonconforming siblings, experienced a campus shooting scare right here at Berkeley. We lived through countless environmental disasters, including historic fires, flooding, power outages, and the campus Wi-Fi. And that's just in the US. We've been through it.
And it was under those circumstances that we witnessed, maybe not for the first time, how woefully inadequate the law can be in addressing society's problems. We read countless cases that exposed rules rooted in prejudice and interpretation methods that were questionable at best. Cases that frustrated every sense of right and wrong. And though it was us wrestling with imposter syndrome, in truth, it's our legal system that's balanced on a precarious house of cards built on native land.
So needless to say, our class defined unprecedented times. When news cycles swung from crisis to crisis, we marched toward the unknown and through the doors, the virtual doors of Berkeley Law. As the world became boxes on our screens, we peered into each other's lives while experiencing one of the most bewildering chapters of our history. And despite it all, we did what we do best. We got to work.
Yeah, we can clap for that.
We worked, y'all.
Through the fire hose of the law school curriculum, our class took action to support movements across the world, challenging apartheid, war crimes, and other human rights violations. In the face of national attacks on critical race theory, the end of affirmative action, and a resurgence of book bans, Berkeley law students organized to ensure our curriculum remains honest and critical of the law's role in shaping racism and systemic inequality. We know that these attacks have contributed to the effective resegregation of schools, exacerbated by a growing class divide. Some of us managed all of this while also being primary caregivers for our loved ones.
And in all our spare time, we made TikToks, played Among Us, attended one too many virtual happy hours, and applied the skills we were learning in service of our communities, completing a whopping 30,000 pro bono hours. And most of that was before we even met in person.
But eventually vaccines rolled out, and our class group chats shifted from sharing Zoom cat memes to the sticker shock of Bay Area housing market. We descended upon the law school building and started asking the 1Ls where to find our classes. I mean, did anyone even know where to get their tickets today? Still, we smiled behind face masks.
Got over how tall some of you are.
And found solidarity through a very regularly updated free food at the law school chat. Bless.
And even though Omicron tried to pull an Uno reverse and send us back home, we got through our sort of normal second and third years. We found the journal rooms and signed up for clinics, experienced the disrespect of 8 a.m. in-person finals, took on leadership roles in affinity spaces as diverse as we are, and worked to reduce barriers for people of color to enter this profession. Also, we figured out if it was okay to hug or handshake, learned to dodge the relentless parking tickets while on campus, and ate enough sliver pizza and Gregoire's for a lifetime. And here we all are today. We made it! But we didn't make it alone. Thank you to the administrative staff for all your often invisible labor, and to the professors who showed up, recorded their classes, and to those who served looks on Zoom and off.
Yeah, Professor Bridges, I don't actually see you, but we see you.
And to all the families and loved ones who earned this degree with us, we thank you for watching us disappear from your lives and come back in glimpses and loving us through it. Today's achievement is also yours.
Familia, gracias por todo. Nos lo dieron todo. Y sí se pudo. Graduates, now take a moment to look around you.
Look at us.
Hey, look at us.
Who would have thought?
Not me. How amazing are your peers? Our class held each other in the best way we knew how over the last 3 years. We shared notes and outlines. We shared tears and laughter.
And COVID.
And we learned a lot along the way. The tumult of the world continues, but if Zoom School taught us anything, it's that unprecedented times call for unprecedented action. Let us be as unprecedented as the times we lived through.
As we enter the next chapter, remember that you are not alone. Yeah, we're all lawyers now. And my gosh, does it feel so surreal to say that? Like, it's so weird. But we are so much more than that. We have our dreams and people to dream with. Take this moment in, for we have found our lifelong comrades and co-conspirators to get into good trouble with. In the wise words of Queen Riri, now that it's raining more than ever, know that we still have each other. You can stand under my umbrella.
Ella, hey.
Okay, graduates, this is your speech too, so we need your help to close out. Class of 2023, we want you to channel your inner Snoop Dogg and repeat loudly after us. You ready? You ready? Okay. Last but not least, I want to thank me.
Last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. Thank me.
I want to thank me for being a JD certified baddie. For being a JD certified baddie. Congratulations, class of 2023!
Yara Jimena, thank you for those wonderful words. Each year, the students choose a faculty member to speak at graduation. This year, the students chose Professor Trish Hurley. Professor Hurley is a terrific, truly beloved teacher and so very deserving of this honor. Professor Hurley has taught legal research and writing and written oral advocacy at Berkeley since 1999. Prior to arriving at Berkeley Law, she served as a staff attorney for the Ninth Circuit, where she worked on civil and criminal appeals and motions pending appeals. In 2013, Professor Hurley received Berkeley Law's Rutter Award for Teaching Distinction, the highest award the law school gives for excellence in teaching. She is a Herma Hill K lecturer in residence. Her teaching evaluations are always superb, with students praising her effectiveness in teaching legal writing, her rigor, and most of all, her compassion and kindness. Please join me in welcoming Professor Trish Hurley.
Thank you, Dean Chemerinsky. Congratulations, class of 2023. It is a huge honor and a great joy to be with you here today. All of us on this stage are so very proud of you and all you have accomplished. You have worked so hard to get here, to this moment, this morning, when you will receive your law degrees. And you know what? We know how hard you have worked because, well, we're the ones who assigned all that work to you. The papers, the midterms, the finals, more papers, and of course, those interactive Blue Book exercises. You're welcome. One reason I was surprised that the graduating class chose me to speak here today is that this is the only class of graduates who I never met in real life while teaching them because classes were entirely on Zoom. When I finally met my students from Mod 2, during your second year of law school, it was such a treat to lay eyes on you. I was surprised by your height. I imagine many of you were surprised that I look about 10 years older without that Zoom filter that I had set to the highest level possible. I really do miss that filter. But that's the only thing I miss about teaching on Zoom. The rest of it was as much of a challenge for me as it was for all of you. Now, my legal writing colleagues and I teach you to avoid the passive voice unless you have a good reason to employ it, such as to hide the actor. So I will use it here about my Zoom teaching with great intentionality. Mistakes were made. There was the time I tried to show my students the viral cat video. I'm sure many of you have seen it. A lawyer's child had put a cat filter on his screen and he did not know how to remove it. So he went ahead and tried to appear for a motion in a court with the cat filter on. Through a fluffy cat face and darting eyes, the lawyer pleaded with the judge, "Your Honor, I assure you I'm ready to proceed, and I'm not a cat." So I thought it would be fun to show it to my students right when it came out, but I was nervous about sharing a video on Zoom, so I practiced ahead of time. When I showed the video to kick off a class, it seemed to go over so well. I was laughing, I could see my students were laughing. Such a fun, lighthearted moment. Afterwards, one of my students said, Professor Hurley, we actually couldn't hear any of the audio. We were all laughing at you laughing at the video. Yes. Then there was the time I broke my students into smaller groups and sent them to those breakout rooms for a few minutes to discuss a case. When I went to bring all the students back together, I saw that the Zoom control panel had completely disappeared from the bottom of my screen. I couldn't retrieve my students from the breakout rooms, and I couldn't let them know that I couldn't retrieve them from the breakout rooms. I felt a rising wave of panic, as though my students existed only in the ether of Zoom. And that if I couldn't somehow beam them back up to my Zoom room, they would be lost in space forever. What a relief it was to find that my students were in fact corporeal and resilient beings who could survive and even thrive despite some online mishaps. It was such a humbling year. It was a year of loneliness and longing for connection. It was so hard for all of you just starting law school that you could not just casually meet each other in the classroom or at a lunch talk or in the hallway. But you did manage to connect, and you did learn, both in your doctrinal classes as well as our skills class. When we shifted to written and oral advocacy in the spring, the JD students were assigned to argue on one side or the other of a raging debate that literally split the 1L class in two. Did the artist Carmen Madura transform Lawson Neal's copyrighted origami crease patterns? Or not? Okay, look, enough. Your class seems so unified and happy on this lovely day. Best not to get all riled up about which side was right on that contentious fair use issue. But I did bring an origami figure as a memento of that shared first year experience. You may recall, as we learned in our case record, origami can be a symbol of transformation. Whether those origami patterns that you argued about as 1Ls were transformed into modern art or not, we saw each of you transform as you did your first oral arguments on Zoom. You transformed into effective and confident advocates, despite not being at an actual podium or in the same room with the judges. And you have used your impressive advocacy skills to do extraordinary work, even while still in law school. As we have heard from your colleagues and speakers, and as you celebrated last night at the public interest graduation, you've engaged in over 30,000 recorded hours of pro bono work. Yes, remarkable. And 144 of you are earning pro bono honors today. It is, yeah. It is truly remarkable the dedication you have already shown to pro bono and public interest work. And on the precipice of this transition, I'd like to paraphrase an important question posed at the end of a beautiful poem by Mary Oliver. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious Berkeley Law degree? Now, some of my former students have taken a more linear path that seems to flow straight from the plans they made in law school. For example, those who became public defenders or prosecutors, those with a tech background who do intellectual property work. Some other graduates I've known have had a more windy path, because this law degree can take you in so many different directions. That can be exciting, but also a bit daunting. So I have 4 brief tips to offer you today as you're starting out. First, I'm signposting. See that? Okay, thank you. First, be open to following a path you may not envision at this moment. I never considered an academic career for a moment when I was in law school. So how did this unfold? I paid attention to what work I found satisfying and what matched my skill set. After graduation, I worked in several different units at the Ninth Circuit as a staff attorney. My favorite days were when we got to present cases to judges, and I especially loved to mentor new attorneys and externs. Reflecting on those aspects of that job at the court helped guide me to this position, which has been enormously satisfying for, more than 2 decades. So periodically, when you're at your job, ask yourself, what part of each job gives you great satisfaction? Is it the area of law itself? Is it direct service or working to change oppressive policies? Is it negotiating contracts for your clients or writing appellate briefs? Seek out those opportunities within your current position. And if you see something outside your current job that fits your values and your skills, consider just taking a step in that direction. Quick story to illustrate. One of my best law school friends was working at a big firm back east when he felt inspired by a gubernatorial candidate. So he cold called the candidate and offered his help. Several years later, my friend left the firm to become the governor's legal counsel and later chief of staff. When the governor had to make an interim appointment to fill the vacant seat of a senator who had become Secretary of State, my friend, his trusted advisor, became a United States Senator. Sure, it was a temporary appointment, but it's a lifetime title. It really is. I still call him Senator. It was an extraordinary experience that flowed from my friend feeling inspired to just reach out to a candidate that he believed in. Second, welcome constructive feedback. It is crucial to be a lifelong learner within your profession. I remember receiving bright red corrections all over my written work as a 3L extern at the Ninth Circuit, but all that feedback made my writing much more clear and concise. Right before I graduated, my supervisor at the Ninth Circuit called to offer me a job, one I had not applied for. Why? He said, and I quote, "We really liked working with you. You never made the same mistake twice." Notice, he did not say, I never made mistakes, just not the same ones and not the ones that they had pointed out. Paying attention to feedback strengthens your skills and makes supervisors want to work with you. Third, say yes to working with good people and say yes to opportunities. I am surrounded by great people in this job, talented staff, terrific faculty, and of course, our extraordinary dean. Yes. To be clear, I am not just saying that because they're all sitting right behind me. I am particularly grateful to work with my brilliant and collaborative colleagues in the legal writing faculty. Yes, give it up for legal writing. As many of you know, our beloved colleague, Professor Lucinda Sykes, died suddenly last year before those of you who were so lucky to have her during your whole 1L Zoom year had a chance to even meet her in real life. One of Lucinda Sykes' many wonderful qualities that I encourage you all to emulate: say yes to opportunities, even if you do not feel entirely ready for them. When she was a young public interest lawyer in DC, Lucinda's supervising attorney came to her and said there was a case that had just landed in their office that she should argue at the Supreme Court. Lucinda did not feel ready to make that leap, and yet she said yes. She did a fantastic job, and she was always so grateful she did not pass on that incredible experience. To those graduates from Mod 9 who Professor Sykes guided, yeah, Mod 9, I see you, who Professor Sykes guided with kindness and wisdom throughout your 1L year, she loved graduation and always cheered the loudest when she saw her students crossing the stage. Please know how delighted and how proud Lucinda would be of you today. And finally, stay in touch with supervisors, mentors, and professors, particularly when they tell you to do so, which I am doing right now for all of us. There may be opportunities that we hear of that would be a great fit for you. Or if you're feeling stuck or in need of a boost, we can remind you how smart and talented you all are. Yes, we care about your success and your happiness, and we always love to hear from you. I know I speak for the entire faculty when I tell you, have faith in yourselves and in the education and skills that you have developed here. Do not doubt that you have earned this degree and that you will use it to do good and important work. Oh, one more thing. Whatever path you take, remember to bring the good book with you. Yes, citation, still important out there. Congratulations and best wishes to all of you.
Trish, thank you for those wise and inspirational words. And you may be the first speaker at a law school graduation to ever bring the Blue Book. Each year, the third-year class also chooses a guest speaker. And it's my enormous pleasure to introduce today's commencement speaker, the Honorable John S. Tiger, a judge on the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Judge Tiger is a graduate of Williams College, where he majored in economics and English. He then graduated from Berkeley Law School, where he's a member of Order of the Coif and articles editor of the California Law Review. After law school, he clerked for Judge Robert Vance on the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. He then practiced complex commercial litigation at Kecker & Van Nest in San Francisco, worked as a trial lawyer in the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, and the litigation department at Morrison & Foerster. He then served as a judge on the Alameda County Superior Court for 11 years, where he was the presiding judge of the court's appellate division. In 2013, he became a judge on the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. Judge Tiger is a member of the prestigious American Law Institute, where he served as an advisor on Restatement's third of torts. He also served as co-chair of the ABA Section Litigation's Federal Practice Task Force. And since 2017, he's been co-chair of the Federal Judicial Center ABA Antitrust Section Judicial Antitrust Education Program. And quite importantly, Judge Tiger has taught pretrial litigation here at Berkeley Law. He has a stellar reputation as a judge, and I cannot imagine a better role model for our graduates than today's commencement speaker, the Honorable John Tiger.
I don't remember Dean Chemerinsky telling me there'd be so many people here. Thank you very much for that introduction, Dean Chemerinsky. Good morning to you. Good morning to faculty, parents, friends, and good morning to the truly extraordinary graduating class of 2023. Thank you for inviting me to be your graduation speaker. What an honor it is for me to address you, and what a joy it is for me to return to the very spot where I myself graduated in 1989. I have to tell you, it's just the way I'm put together that I choke up sometimes when I speak publicly and when I touch on subjects with a lot of positive emotion, and I'm feeling a lot of positive emotion right now, so forgive me in advance. I want to start by thanking and congratulating some of the folks who made today possible. You've heard some of these thanks already, but I'm not sure you could thank these folks enough. I want to acknowledge all the parents, spouses, partners, friends, and family here. Many of you made huge sacrifices to get all these wonderful graduates to this point, not just through law school, but for all the years before that. You did it because you love these students and you're so proud of them. And so to all of your supporters, I just want to say a big thank you, so thank you. I want to say a big thanks to everyone at Berkeley Law, the faculty, the administration, the librarians, the clerical staff, the cleaning crew, the baristas at the law school coffee shop, and all the other people who made it possible to open the door every day so you all could get this thing done. Thank you. And finally, congratulations to you, the graduating class of 2023. What an amazing group you are. 335 JDs, 242 LLMs, 4 JSDs, which is Doctor of Juridical Science, and 3 PhDs. You come from 40 different states and 55 different countries. Diversity is your strength. 2/3 of the entering JD class were women, and 2% were non-binary or transgender. A majority of you were persons of color. More than 10% of you are first-generation college graduates. And while this is tough for me to admit, I've seen the data, and pretty much all of you had a higher college GPA than I did, which confirms my suspicion that all of you are smarter than I am. From here, you're going on to work in private law firms, to enter public service, to take all kinds of interesting fellowships, to work for big law, to work for plaintiffs' firms, to enter academia, to clerk for judges, to become judges, to continue being judges, and more other things than I have time to list. In your totality, you reflect the diversity of background and thought that have always made Berkeley Law a truly great institution. Congratulations on today's achievement. Just one last time, give yourselves a huge round of applause. On a beautiful spring day, 34 years ago, I sat just where you're sitting. I was a little nervous, but mostly I was proud and happy. Proud to have finished 3 long years of legal training at a great law school with some of the best professors and students in the country. Happy to be beginning my life as a lawyer. Happy to be sitting next to Carrie Avery. I met Carrie when we were both 1Ls at Berkeley Law. She's one of the greatest graduates this law school has ever produced, and I've now been married to her for more than 31 years. Thank you, Carrie. The graduation speaker that day was Jerry Brown, the former, I didn't know that would be a laugh line. The speaker that day was Jerry Brown, the former governor of California, who would later go on to become the governor of California. I don't remember a word he said, and I take comfort in that, because it means you probably won't remember anything I say either, and that takes the pressure off a little. As you start your careers, I know many of you are wondering, how can I find meaning in the law? How can I find satisfaction? How can this profession keep alive in me the goals and values that prompted me to apply to law school in the first place? And today I suggest to you that part of the answer is to take this awesome power you now have and all the enthusiasm that got you this far and use them to achieve justice for others. First, do justice by upholding the rule of law and safeguarding our democratic society. We read in the news every day about attacks on our democratic institutions, about attempts to restrict the right to vote, about politicians who attempt to undermine the legitimacy of our court system by politicizing judges' rulings, about attempts to restrict certain voices from being heard in our schools and legislatures. But those efforts do not reflect the sentiments of the majority of your fellow Americans. Most Americans cherish our democracy, and they cherish the rule of law. I know that's true because of the thousands of jurors I have spoken to and the hundreds of new American citizens I have sworn in, and they tell me it's true. The proverb says, justice resides naturally in people's hearts. And I think so does their faith in democracy. I love my country. I love my court. and I cherish the opportunity to do justice every day by upholding the rule of law. But the rule of law is something we must all protect together. I will never forget the juror, more than a decade ago, who served as an alternate in a 3-week trial I conducted when I was a judge on the Alameda County Superior Court. An alternate juror hears all the testimony and argument and is available to substitute in if one of the other jurors gets sick or needs to be absent for some other reason. So if you're an alternate juror and you're not substituted in, you do all the work and you give up all those days of your life, but you don't get the satisfaction of deciding the case. The judge just excuses you and you go home. And this gentleman did that in a 3-week trial I presided over, and he had done the same thing before in another 3-week trial, meaning serve as an alternate but not get to deliberate. And he was a veteran of the United States Army who had served 2 tours of combat duty abroad. As I was excusing him, I thanked him for his jury service as an alternate, and I felt like he deserved a particularly special acknowledgement because of his prior service as an alternate. I told him I thought it must be frustrating to have spent 6 weeks in 2 separate trials without the payoff of getting to deliberate. And I thanked him for that. He responded, "Your Honor, I put my life on the line twice so you could do this." This, being an alternate, was a walk in the park. I remember swearing in more than 1,000 new citizens at the Paramount Theater in Oakland in September 2017. They cheered and they waved American flags. Some of them were so happy they cried. If you've never been to a citizen swearing-in ceremony, I urge you to go. You've never seen such patriotism, such uncynical belief in the power of American democratic institutions. Faithful adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of our democracy. But the rule of law is only as strong as the will and the effort of the people charged with upholding it. Starting today, that's you. If you're admitted to the California Bar, you'll take an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California. In other states, you'll take a similar oath. That oath is a promise to uphold the rule of law. Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor. But it also means bringing to account those who would try to weaken the rule of law. It means being willing to step forward to guard the rule of law from attack by any source, no matter how mighty and no matter the consequence. So I ask you to stand up for the rule of law, to step forward when you see others trying to weaken it, to stand up for our democratic institutions. We need your energy, your passion, and your commitment. Second, I hope you will do justice by helping others get justice, determined not by how much justice they can afford, but by how much justice they need. It's probably not a good look to drink out of a can at the microphone. I don't know. Getting kind of warm up here. From here, some of you will answer the call to public service. Some of you will work in public interest firms. For you, doing justice will be part of the fabric of your work. But whether you're in a plaintiff's personal injury firm, a prosecutor's office, a corporate law firm, a public defender's office, or something else, you will have the opportunity to do justice. Because the need for justice is everywhere. I've spent more than half my career in public service as a law clerk, a deputy public defender, a state court trial judge, and now as a federal judge. But I also spent more than a decade in corporate law practice, and everywhere I've been, I've had the chance to do justice. Doing justice is not just the right thing to do, it's also the most satisfying thing you can do. In my law practice, before I became a judge, I represented all kinds of clients. Some of the cases I handled involved hundreds of millions of dollars, and no question, Those cases were fun and rewarding. But nothing gave me more satisfaction than the cases I did for free. Like the client referred to me by legal aid who said she had a tax problem. Her real problem wasn't taxes. Her problem was that she was the victim of domestic violence, whose abusive husband was siphoning off the money from their jointly owned business. And once I helped her find the inner strength to bring her husband to justice, it became clear whose responsibility the tax problems really were, and it wasn't her. Or the single mother, or the single mother in the Tenderloin, a survivor of cancer, raising 2 teenage girls on a secretary's salary, buried in debts she could never pay, who might still be mired in those debts today if I had not successfully fought them in court. There are so many people just like these who need your help right now. It has been estimated that every year there are at least 23 million unrepresented people in the non-criminal courts, including civil, family law, probate, and housing. Every one of them could use a lawyer, but not a single one can afford a lawyer. So whether it's all of your practice or only a part of it, my advice to you is to give freely of your talents to those who most need them. To heed the words of Bryan Stevenson, the founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, who said, "The true measure of our commitment to justice, the character of our society, our commitment to the rule of law, fairness, and equality cannot be measured by how we treat the rich, the powerful, the privileged, and the respected among us. The true measure of our character is how we treat the poor, the disfavored, the accused, the incarcerated, and the condemned." There will be times when it feels easy to achieve justice. But there will also be times when it feels very hard. The hard times are not when you give up. That's when we really need you. And don't worry if you can't always see all the way to the end of the path towards justice. As the writer Barbara Kingsolver once said, the arc of history is longer than human vision. It bends. So today, I invite you to begin your careers in the law by putting yourself on the path towards achieving justice for others, a path described by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the last sermon he gave at the Bishop Charles Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. He said, "Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. And let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation." I loved what your student speakers said a minute ago when they said, "You're so much more than lawyers." So before I sit down, let me leave you with one more thought, which is to make sure you nurture within yourselves the qualities that make you great people as well as great lawyers. To live in the real world, not just in your office. Doing nothing but reading cases and writing briefs might sharpen your writing, but it will dull your perspective. Make sure you're just as invested in your relationships with your friends, your loved ones, and your community as you are in your relationship with your clients and the courts. And take care of yourselves by doing things that bring you joy. For me, those things have included family, friends, and among other things, poetry. So I'm going to close with one of my favorite poems, a poem by Marge Piercy that I think sums up the kind of lawyer and person I hope you'll be, that I hope you'll want to be. And her poem is called "To Be of Use," and it goes like this. The people I love the best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well, done, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. Congratulations again on graduating from Berkeley Law. I've been so honored to be with you. I look forward to seeing you in court. Thank you.
Before we officially confer your diplomas, I want to note that immediately after the ceremony, we warmly invite all of you to join us back at the law school for a reception to celebrate our graduates.
Will the JD class of 2023 please rise? Dean Chemerinsky, I present the candidates for the degree Juris Doctor.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the President of the University of California and the Chancellor of the Berkeley campus, I confer on you the degree Juris Doctor, and with it all the rights and privileges thereto pertaining. Congratulations. Thank you all for coming.